Loving Vincent, which is apparently the first oil-painted animated feature. It's quite a breathtaking visual achievement. It's basically, the narrative is set after Vincent Van Gogh has died, and our central character, Armand Roland, played by Douglas Booth, is entrusted with a letter written by Vincent to his brother Theo. And he's sent to take the letter, and as he does so, he finds himself heading towards the place where Vincent van Gogh spent his final days and where indeed he died, and meeting and interviewing everyone and speaking to everyone. Sort of turns detective to try and find out what exactly happened to Vincent, because as far as he can tell, shortly before his death, he was in perfectly good fettle, and he was in good shape, psychologically. And then his death is completely unexpected. Now, the film was shot first as a live action with performers, and then that was then used as a guide for the artists who did the animations, oil painted animations with, in the flashback stuff, we go into monochrome, into black and white, which becomes almost photorealist. But for the bulk of the film, the body of the film, it's like watching actors. If you remember Waking Life, the Richard Linklater, it's like watching actors that that you're familiar with, but appearing as moving oil paintings. And he speaks to everybody, including, in this particular clip, Saoirse Ronan as Margaret Gachet. Here we go.
He could have been at our place painting, if I'd behaved differently. If him and my father hadn't argued.
But don't you care that some bastard may have gotten away with murder?
You want to know so much about his death. But what do you know of his life?
I know that he tried hard to prove he was good for something.
Yes. He did. That's why I take flowers to his grave. That's all I can do for him now. He would appreciate the delicate beauty of their bloom. Even each blade of their grassy stems. No detail of life was too small or too humble for him.
There are times that the dialogue is a little bit on the nose. There are times in which we get conversations about, oh, you're the person who's who's following the story of the Dutchman that killed himself. And so there are moments when it gets a little bit sort of, chubby However,
just explain what you mean by that.
Well, chubby is a phrase that was coined by John Ronson as a film about a famous person in which the famous person does the thing that the famous person is famous for. And it's a kind of clunky, dramatic moment. But although that is slightly true of the dialogue, there is so much going on in the visuals that is genuinely breathtaking. I mean, the story essentially creates like a Rashomon-like narrative from conflicting versions of the story. So we hear everyone has their own version of what happened in the final day. So it becomes part murder mystery, part love story, part elegy. But it's also a celebration, and essentially the film takes you into the world of the paintings. I mean, even for somebody who knows as little about art as I do, there are images that you recognise because there's such famous, haunting images. And these images come to life. And from the point of view of just how it's been done, I mean, a team of over 100 painters and animators working for years to put this thing together. I mean, like, just the sheer, there's something almost slightly crazy about the level of detail that's gone into it. And it is a strangely hallucinatory experience to watch. And I know that it doesn't work for absolutely everybody. I thought that it was really quite overwhelming. I think Clint Mansell's score is really terrific and does a great job of, bringing emotional resonance to these images. I never thought that it was gimmicky. I thought all the way through that the way this story was being told worked and was organic and, made sense and you have to keep sort of pinching yourself and thinking, I can't quite believe what I'm watching. So from somebody who is really, really a kind of, I know almost nothing about art. I know almost nothing about painting. I knew nothing about the story about his sort of final days. This worked for me. I was narratively engaged. I had certain problems every now and then with bits of the dialogue, but they are absolutely secondary to the experience of watching it, the experience of being sort of enclosed in this dream world and finding it a really overwhelming experience. I thought it was terrific. I love the framing as well. Everybody said that I would mention that, but I love the framing. I love the way that it's kind of 4:3, that the shape of the thing sort of matches the shape of the canvas.